Good morning, colleagues.
Good morning.
Mr. Mkiba, are we using your computer?
Yes, DG.
Yeah, just fix it because normally when you sometimes it freezes and all of those things. It mustn't freeze today.
Good morning, DG. Good morning, colleagues.
It is the network, DG.
I trust DG for China's computer.
It's on standby today.
No, it's fine. It's okay. It's all right.
Mr. Mkiba has a new computer, DG. It can't fail us today.
Hey,
that computer must
this
work.
This new gadget.
Tombi is right. That computer must not fail us today.
Firstly, you need to familiarize yourself with the new gadget, DG. So I'm still struggling.
No, you can make a submission. We will we will fix it, but we'll fix it. And you must indicate that your comorbidities are partly due to the computer that's not working.
I'll certainly do that, DG.
Recording in progress.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, honorable members, and everyone present in the meeting. Chair, the time is 10 o'clock now, so you may start the meeting. My apologies for the echo on my background. We don't have electricity, so I had to find a spot where I'll be able to connect. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Skaka. Good morning, honorable members. Good morning, honorable minister, the DG and the team that you are bringing with. Also, our support staff. Let me take this opportunity to greet you all. Indeed, today it's our meeting as planned. I believe that the documents that are going to be presented were earlier circulated in time so that we can be able to familiarize ourselves. I will be pleading Ms. Kaka, as we are always doing, just to assist in terms of flying the agenda so that our agenda is focused on what we are agreeing on. So by these few words, I'm welcoming everyone that is in attendance. Will you assist Ms. Kaka? I will hide my face at least. So as we are proceeding. Indeed, the rules of this house are applicable in terms of rule 103, specifically sub rules 2.1, 2.2, and 2.3. So this is how we're going to be proceeding with our meeting. Can I get an hand to adopt the agenda as it presented? Honorable Adrianza.
Honorable Chairperson, I adopt the agenda as presented. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Any seconder?
Honorable Sibande,
Yes.
seconder.
Yes. And Honorable Briet.
Chair, I also want to be second.
Okay. Thank you very much, honorable members. That's an agenda that we are going to be proceeding with today. Can we get apologies, Ms. Kaka?
Greetings again, Chair. I've got only one apology from Deputy Minister Honorable Kondwe. She won't be able to join us today due to the fact that she's not feeling well and will be visiting a doctor. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable. Thank you very much, Ms. Kaka. In terms of our agenda now, we're supposed to be handing over to the minister, deputy minister in their absence. Then the DG will be the one that will be leading in terms of the presentations. If I'm correct, can I hand over to the minister?
Thank you so much. Yes.
Also, in welcoming welcoming you also, Honorable Minister. We appreciate your presence in our midst. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. You can take the floor.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Feni, and good morning to members of the Select Committee. We just wish to indicate that it is our honor to be afforded the opportunity to brief the Select Committee on the 5-year strategic plan of the Department of Higher Education, an annual performance plan and the budget for the 2025-2026 financial year. As we all know, the department oversees the higher education and training system in South Africa. We continue to champion the cause of the Freedom Charter, which said the doors of learning and culture shall be opened. Inequality is one of the major challenges facing our country, and education is an important intervention in creating a society we want. Inequality, unemployment, as well as poverty are the three overarching challenges to which the National Development Plan responds to. The 10-year review conducted by the Presidency on the implementation of the National Development Plan has shown an unsatisfactory progress towards the achievement of the 2030 targets. In response to the clarion call by His Excellency Mr. President Cyril Ramaphosa, the department's strategic plan we are presenting together with the annual performance plan for the 2025-2026 have dedicated the next 5 years, 2025-2030, to advancing the three strategic priorities outlined in the 2024-2029 medium-term development plan, which indicates that we need to drive inclusive growth and job creation, reducing poverty and tackling the high cost of living, building a capable, ethical, as well as a developmental state. These plans are a clear commitment towards implementing the priority actions required to end poverty, unemployment, and inequality. Our strategic trust remains intact for the next 5 years within the remit of the budget appropriated to vote 17. We will continue to focus our interventions towards ensuring access to post-school education and training opportunities to improve quality of provision, success of our students, as well as efficiency and responsiveness of the PSET system. Central to our agenda is the investment required for developing the skills required to ensure inclusive growth and job creation, to reduce poverty and tackle the high cost of living, and to build a capable, ethical, and developmental state. Chairperson and honorable members, without any doubt, this requires close working collaboration between government, the private sector, as well as the civil society. Chairperson, allow me to briefly reflect on some of our key commitments for the next 5 years. We will review the size and shape of the post-school education and training and reposition our TVET and city colleges sector. We are going to be funding for poor and missing middle category of our students will be a critical focus area and will strengthen institutional governance and administration in the entire PSET landscape. In supporting the Just Energy Transition Investment Plan, the department will establish a JET skills desk that will serve as a national coordinating hub for skills development, ensuring an unified approach to this critical task. The department will also implement an infrastructure program to support the expansion drive and access to quality education and training for our young people. And finally, Chair, we will prioritize artisan development and workplace-based learning programs. Chairperson and honorable members, I will look forward to working with the committee as we deliver on these strategic areas over the next 5 years. The Director General will provide the final details of the strategic planning, including planned deliverables of the APP for this financial year. And he's going also to be assisted by the relevant DG GASA, as well as Mr. Mkiba. Once again, I am thankful for the opportunity given to present the department's plan. Through you, Chairperson, allow me then to hand over to the DG to take us through the details of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. The Chair of the Select Committee, Honorable Feni, distinguished and esteemed members of the Portfolio Committee, the Select Committee, I mean. Thank you, Honorable Minister, for the opening remarks.
Sorry, DG. There is something or someone that is pretending to be you. We can't see you. It's your shadow. We don't know what is happening.
We will try to fix it on my side, Chairperson, but I can confirm that what appears as a shadow is me behind the picture, but it's
Better you remove the background, DG, because you are taking time now. Better you remove the background, then they just see you.
Okay. Apologies for that, Chair. I'm trying to remove the background.
But you can proceed. It's not a problem if he's giving you some challenges. Then we will, in the long run, it's not a problem.
Second, he indicated that this gadget are so sophisticated for him earlier on. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I trust that you can see me now.
Yes, yeah. Thank you, teacher.
The Department of Higher Education and Training and the Minister has spoken to today will provide the briefing to the Select Committee on the 2025-2030 revised strategic plan and the annual performance plan and budget for the 2025-2026 financial year. I am not alone. I'm with the DDGs of various branches who will, when necessary and when called upon to do so, or elaborate on the, on each of the programs, of the department. Allow to provide the background for the discussion. Firstly, in developing the 2025-2030 strategic plan and annual performance plan for this financial year, we have considered the revised framework for strategic plans and annual performance plans since 2019. The framework for managing program performance information, the medium-term development plan, the 2025 State of the Nation's Address, the National Plan for the Post-School Education and Training, and implementation plan for the white paper for PSET. This conducted a proactive audit of our plan and APPs for the entire PSET portfolio. And what we present today is informed both by the work we have done, but also with advice that we have received from the Auditor General, of which any outstanding elements of it are work in progress. May I, at this point in time, call upon the team led by DDG Gasa to project our presentation. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much. Greetings, honorable members. I am trying this side to project my face so that I am visible. I trust that I am audible. DG, the presentation has been loaded as requested. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm audible to honorable members. I seek your guidance, DG, as to whether you would like me to proceed, but I want to double check with honorable members whether I am audible and visible. Can I be seen?
You are
Yes, DBG, we can see.
Thank you very much. Through you, Chair, Honorable Minister, honorable members,
I wanted to establish whether DG would like me to proceed or whether the DG would like to continue.
DG said you must take us through the presentation. You can proceed now.
Thank you very much, Minister. So as indicated, honorable members, we wish to appreciate the opportunity to table the revised strat plan and the annual performance plan. I will be doing this presentation jointly with Mr. Mgiba, as the Minister has indicated. There are sections that I will take us through, and then Mr. Mgiba, I will request to come through as and where required. This first slide is an outline of the presentation. We will take you through the background, the mandate of DHET, vision and mission, the organizational structure, the PSET landscape, the nub of the problem as we recognize it for the PSET system. We will then take you through the 5-year strategic outcomes and targets, and then the annual performance plan targets and the 2025-2026 MTF budget. So in essence, honorable members, there are 3 of us that are going to be doing the presentation, as our acting CFO will also come through to take us through the numbers. I will be very quick with this particular slide because our minister, our honorable minister, and the DG have indicated, have reflected on this particular slide. Safe for me to say that in essence, the National Development Plan Vision 2030 is the country's reference point, which guides the pathway towards 2030. And in essence, as we table the strat plan and the annual performance plan for 2025-2026, we want to underscore the fact that the strategic plan and the APP are very linked towards are very linked with the National Development Plan and the Medium-Term Development Plan, which is the country's plan for realizing the work that needs to be done towards Vision 2030. In developing the SP, which is short for the strategic plan and the annual performance plan, we took the following into consideration: the revised framework for the strategic plan and the annual performance plan 2019. We took into consideration the framework for managing program for performance information. We also took into consideration 2024-2029, the medium-term development plan as developed by the presidency, and the recommendations made regarding outcome indicators and targets. And we also took, as guided by His Excellency, our President, the SONA as the State of the Nation address. And we also reflected on our national plan for the PSET system, which is our implementation plan for the white paper for the PSET system. For your consideration, honorable members, our Auditor General conducted a proactive audit of the SPs and APPs for the entire portfolio. And in tabling the SP and the AP, we've taken on board the recommendations they have made moving forward. The original SP and APP, as honorable members are aware, were tabled on the 9th of April 2025. And in the main, why we are tabling the revised ones is taking into consideration the fact that there were also revisions regarding the budget votes. Regarding this slide, what I'd like to highlight so that I don't take too much time is that on the 21st of May, as I indicated in the last slide, our Minister of Finance introduced the third national budget in Parliament, and all members of the executive were then required to update the strat plans and the APPs for their departments together with our entities under their portfolios before the 13th of June, which is primarily why we are here seeking your guidance for the SPs and the APPs. For us, this was an opportunity to revise and effect changes to the strat plan and the APP, taking into consideration the findings from the AG and also reflecting on implications regarding the changes in the third national budget. And to be frank and honest to the honorable members, we looked at the fact that the AG had indicated that our indicators were not so well defined and means of verifications needed to be more appropriate. We also needed to look at the fact that there were certain MTD indicators that were not included in the APP, which we needed to take on board, and that the desired outcomes and outputs for the performance indicators were not necessarily measuring the level of performance, but measuring production of reports. And these are things that we can assure you we have tried to improve on to the best of our ability. Next slide, please. Now, we have consistently tabled our strat plans and APPs to the select committee, so I will not waste a lot of time here. And I believe that these are particular issues that I've already covered on. Suffice to say that perhaps I should highlight that over time, we are one of the youngest departments. I've referred to the National Development Plan. I've referred to the white paper. I've referred to the national plan, and I've referred to the MTDP, and that our work is guided by the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, and specifically Section 9, which speaks about the progressive realization of higher education, and this is what we are guided by, and as led by our Honorable Minister and the Accounting Officer. And over time, then there has been work that we have been doing to improve education, training, and innovation. And then there is focus on policy priorities for the PSET system. And then there are instruments that we have developed that are central to the achievement of the vision for the PSET system. Next slide, please. Now, this slide specifically speaks to the vision and mission, which I believe we have tabled to the select committee, but suffice to say that for us, the key issue is about ensuring that we've got a skilled and capable nation to support an inclusive economic growth path. And in the main, we speak about the providing strategic leadership to the PSET system through the following key issues. The first one is about developing appropriate steering mechanisms to make sure that we realize the vision, as I've indicated earlier on. We also have for ourselves the importance of effective oversight, monitoring, and evaluation throughout the whole post-school education and training system, which not only involves universities, TVETs, colleges, CETs, CETAs, but entities that are immense, as we have always indicated before. The next very important one as well is the provision of support services in relation to teaching and learning. And the last one is the funding of the PSET institutions and entities, and doing our level best. As the minister guides us, we need to ensure that we improve to the best of our ability, holding our institutions and entities accountable. The next slide, please. Now, this is the organizational structure and the organogram of the department, and in essence, is our minister, our Honorable Minister Nkabane, and then we've got our two deputy ministers, and then we've got our Director General, and then it is ourselves as the DDGs. I must apologize that this slide is especially quite small and maybe might not be as easy to read, but I will try and go through it for your consideration. Program 1, as the DG indicated, so I'll try to be very quick on this one as well, is the administration program, which provides strategic leadership, management, and support services to the department. In that particular program, two of my colleagues who I believe are also in this meeting. It's our CFO, Mr. Keynes, who, as I indicated earlier on, will speak to the numbers and figures. Then there is DDG Ngwenya, who is DDG for Corporate Services, and she is in the room, and she is responsible for corporate services, as I indicated. Then there is myself, who is DDG for Planning, Policy and Strategy. I'm responsible for providing strategic direction in the development, implementation and monitoring of development policies and the human resource development strategy for South Africa. And then there is my fellow DDG, DDG Dr. Sotigwa, who is head of the University Education Branch. She focuses on developing and coordinating policy and regulatory frameworks in the university education system. She's also responsible for National Student Financial Aid Scheme and the National Higher Education Institutes. Then next is my fellow colleague, DDG Zungu, who is the DDG for Technical and Vocational Education and Training. He is responsible for the whole TVET sector, and he plans, develops, implements, monitors, maintains, and evaluates national policy in the whole TVET system and works closely with the TVET colleges. And he is also responsible for regional offices. Then there's my fellow colleague, DDG Mvalo, Christopher, and he is responsible for skills development. He promotes and monitors the National Skills Development Strategy and develops skills development policies and regulatory frameworks for an effective and skills development system. And then last but definitely not least is DDG Fuchane, who is responsible for community education and training, responsible for planning, developing, implementing, and monitoring and maintaining the national policy program assessment practices and systems for community education and training. And she provides financial and other support to community education and training colleges. Behind this organizational structure are a lot of colleagues who are also here, honorable members, and provide support to us as EXCO in various ways. But I will not reflect on this at this point in time because I'm trying to run very, very quickly through the slides. Now, if I may then reflect on the nub of the problem facing the post-school education system, I will try and do this in a clockwise manner for your consideration. The first one is number 1, and it reflects on the fact that in the research that we do, especially in the branch that I am responsible for, because we also do research to inform PSET system considerations. It is of concern to us, our accounting officer, the deputy ministers and the minister that as per the last research that we have done, it is of serious concern that the total number of youth that are not in employment, not in education, not in training is sitting at 3.4 million. If we only, for example, look at people who are between age 15 to 24 years who are not in school and are also not employed. And then the second issue is that the number of young people and adults to be served is growing. Now, as honorable members will recall, I said that this is a figure that looks at a particular segment. If we look at a bigger number of the section of the population, this number grows considerably. As you will recall, we spoke about our mandate as the PSET system and what our mission and our vision is. It's about skilling the nation for meaningful participation in the system. And for us, the nub of the problem, if it is like this, then it makes our mandate equally greater, but we will speak about how the different programs try to address this particular nub of the program, which is a challenge that we are trying to address in an intergovernmental manner moving forward. Then the second issue is about the identification of skills needed to drive economic growth and social development. And there are programs that are in place. And in the main, when we talk with as EXCO, we reflect on the need for advancing STEM skills, while at the same time reflecting on the need for human resource needs. The second issue is about the provision of different entry points and pathways through the learning system, which currently remains a problem or a challenge for South Africa. The last point for NAB 2 is the fact that improving the quality of provision wherever learning takes place remains a challenge. If we look at number 3, the major issue for us is the fact that there is a need for inverting the university-centric model. And right now, what we are trying to do is to review the size and shape of the system, address the negative perceptions about TVET colleges. Just a while ago, maybe about a year or two, we've been driving since then, following a research colloquium and a whole range of issues, including having a decade of artisans to drive home the message that TVET colleges must be institutions of choice, but the same must also apply to the work pertaining to the CET colleges as also institutions of choice as well, given the programs that they offer. If we look at item 4, there is no additional, or there is very, very limited a budget for expansion of the TVET sector since 2013, which seems to run in contradiction to item 3, but we are in discussions with National Treasury to review, as you will see later on, the disparity in terms of what we invest in universities, TVET colleges and CETs, and I've spoken to the fact that we want to make colleges, TVET colleges, institutions of first choice. And then the last one is about the importance of resources required to significantly expand CETs. I've spoken to that, and we are rebranding and focusing on advocacy for the CET college sector. Next, please. Now, what we aim to achieve in the main, I will start on my left. is ensuring that we increase access to PSET opportunities, and we increase participation of our youth and adults, and ensure in the main that we improve social and economic development. We also want to ensure that there is success and efficiency in terms of optimal use of the resources in the PSET system. If you then look at my right-hand side, is the quality of provisioning, as I spoke to it earlier on, ensuring that there is excellent teaching and learning initiatives. For example, just this coming week, led by our minister and deputy ministers, we are hosting a G20 and the third G20 education working group. And this is the particular focus of that particular education working group, whereby we'll be meeting with all G20 member states to focus on this particular issue and looking at what other countries are doing. But the last issue of what we are wanting to achieve compared against the nub of the problem is ensuring that there is responsiveness. And there we are focusing on addressing education and training needs of individuals, employers, and societies, because even if we improve our TVET and university and CETs, we need employers, we need business, we need society to ensure that there is absorption. And then ultimately what we want is to improve the impact on society and ensure that there is improved social and economic development. Next slide, please. Now, how we want to measure how we plan to measure our performance is multifocal, and perhaps I can describe that a little bit better. And that will become a bit clearer when I ask Mr. Mgiba to come through and speak to how our targets and indicators are defined. For quite some time as the PSET system, and specifically as the Department of Higher Education and Training, our strategic plan and our APP had a particular bias towards what is appearing on the screen as system level outputs. Those that reside within our institutions. And while these are important, the manner in which they are defined meant that they are within our institutions who we are working with, but it meant that we could not control to the level that we wanted to, the extent to which we could report, we could ensure delivery, and we could manage it to the best of our ability. We still have them in the strat plan and the APP, and we want, as I indicated earlier on, to follow the minister's baton in the importance of them. But we've made sure that we've made a distinction now to say that, for example, enrollments in PSET institutions like universities, TVET, and CETs are clearly issues, enrollments that are important, but they belong primarily with PSET institutions. Ours is to monitor and hold accountable. Skills development programs supported by SETAs and NSF are very important, but primarily they are system and institutional level outputs. The responsiveness of the system to the needs of the economy is one that is also a system level output. The efficiency of the system through student completions are very important, but they are systematic or institutional level outputs, and that is how we have distinguished this accordingly. Then the departmental level outputs are those that are primarily within our control, and their departmental level outputs. They include the following: the development of appropriate steering mechanisms, for example, legislation, which also happens to fall within my branch. For example, legislation pertaining to working with my colleague from University Education Branch on NSFAS or higher education, working with Didi Jimvalo on skills development regulations, for example, working with colleagues on policies and guidelines, working with norms and standards on housing, issues pertaining to funding support to delivery institutions, and focusing on monitoring and evaluation the health of our entities, for example, financial and governance and infrastructure development supporting expansion, which also falls within my branch, supported and guided by our DG. Next slide, please. Now, I did speak to the fact that we are quite a huge institution system, and because we've come here before, I do not want to go too much into the slide. Safe to say that if you look at the first row, primarily it is about us. It's the universities, TVET, CET, and so forth. Including training the CETs and so forth. Excuse me. And then it also then refers to the CETAs, the National Sales Authority. I know my colleague, Mr. Kuzwayo, is here. And then the National Skills Fund, my colleague, Ms. Era, is here. And then they are then council, quality councils that we work with that include SAQA, CHE, Umalusi, which might be focusing on metric work, but that impacts on our work, given the message I made earlier on that speaks to areas around the needs and cooperation around the shape and form of the PSET system moving forward. And then there is, on my right-hand side, there's, of course, then the work around the NSFAS, the HRDC that I mentioned. And then right at the bottom, if I may say so, are then the quality councils that I just mentioned right now. And then for us, what is important is the point that our minister raised that speaks to the importance of workplace-based learning moving forward. The next slide, please. Now, I am about to hand over to Mr. Mgiba, because we are now going to move into our 5-year strategic outcomes and targets for 2025 to 2030. If I may just reiterate, the main issue here is that this is the overarching document is the National Development Plan. The medium term, the MTDP is then a tool for the 7th administration to enable the work to move forward. The Strat Plan and the APP are informed by the MTDP, and we have sought, as I mentioned earlier on, to address the guidance that we were given by the AG and also guided by our minister, and we have sought to ensure that there is alignment. And we have also had to review the numbers that we have to ensure that we take budgetary constraints into consideration without reducing or managing or declining the numbers while we push for a very effective PSET system moving forward that speaks to our vision and our mission. Honorable members, Minister, DM, fellow colleagues, thank you very much for the opportunity. I will come back later when there are questions that are needed for all of us as EXCO members. I would really like, through you, Chair, to hand over to Mr. Mkiba right now. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, DDG Gasa. Thank you. Thank you to Honorable Minister, the Deputy Minister present here, the DDGs that are here, as well as honorable members of the Select Committee. Chair, from this slide going forward, we are now going to focus on the targets as they appear in the revised strategic plan that we are presenting to yourselves, but also we will zoom into the specifics in terms of the annual performance plan for 2025-2026. As DDG indicated, both the strat plan and the APP are informed by the medium-term development plan and its outcomes. Outcome 1, for instance, on improved energy security and a just energy transition. We have the 2 specific targets for the 5 years of producing 7,000 graduates in JET-relevant skills, and that focus will be made on engineering, naval architecture and marine, hydrogen and green economy skills, as well as digital skills. But we are also targeting by 2030 that 10,000 learners would have been registered and would have been given opportunities to enroll in occupations that are linked to occupations in high demand, as well as critical skills. In terms of outcome 2 of the MTDP, which is improved education outcomes and skills, there are a few indicators and targets in this area. The main being the enrollments of students in our subsectors in public universities, TVET colleges, the CET colleges, and these are linked to the targets that we have in the National Development Plan as a country. However, they are linked to, as Minister indicated, to the available budget as appropriated for Vote 17. For instance, for universities, we are planning to increase enrollments from 1,077,768 in 2022 to about 1,173,768. In the same way, based on the budget available, the intention is to increase enrollments in our TVET colleges from 518,000 to 600,000, and for CET colleges from 130,000 to 160,000. We have also, as part of improving educational outcomes and skills, have targeted supporting our students in our universities and TVET colleges in terms of bursaries that are offered through NSFAS, targeting 550,000 for universities, 300,000 for TVET colleges. Minister did indicate that we are also focusing our endeavors towards ensuring that we produce the requisite numbers in terms of artisan development in line with the National Development Plan, and the target for this 5 years is really to ensure that we produce 30,000 artisans by 2030. Minister also did indicate the work that we will be doing in respect of infrastructure development, and focus will then be on ensuring that we complete phase 1 of the University of Northwest Mining Campus by 2030, but also refurbishing the former teachers college in Guyane to ensure that a campus for Tshwane University of Technology is operational by 2030. Sorry. In terms of outcome 3, relating to increasing employment and work opportunities, our contribution as a sector is ensuring that we place our students, our learners in workplace-based learning through internships, through learnerships, and through work-integrated learning, particularly for our TVET graduates. But we are also targeting, Honorable Chair and members, to increasing the number of students that are registered in the various skills development programs, from 53,000 in 2022-2023 to about 355,000 by 2030. This is work that our CETAs as well as NSF will be contributing to in terms of funding provided for skills development programs. And then lastly, outcome 4, regarding social cohesion and nation building, our contribution to this outcome of the MTDP is really to train students and the staff within our PSET institutions through the civic education and health skills program, which is led by Higher Health. In terms of the specific targets, continuing from the previous slide, the outcome on improved education outcomes and skills also is inclusive of our targeted graduates in the various skills areas. For instance, your engineering sciences from universities, human health sciences from universities, animal health sciences from universities, and initial teacher education from universities, and lastly, veterinary graduates also from universities. We are also targeting increased numbers of graduates in terms of master's graduates, but also in terms of doctoral graduates, as required by the National Development Plan. As indicated, students in both universities and TVET colleges will be funded in terms of bursaries through NSFAS, but also we are targeting a number of eligible students who will be receiving NSFAS loans per academic year, at the tune of 11,000. The number of CET college students who will complete GETC level 4 is planned to increase from the baseline of 9,942 to 10,240. And lastly, the percentage of CET students that are enrolling in QCTO accredited skills programs, the target is really to ensure that that increases from the current 0.4% to 5%. And then the proportion of university lecturers that hold doctoral degrees, the target is also to increase from 53% to 58%. That was at the level of the strategic plan, and therefore the targets for the 5 years. From this slide, going forward, Honorable Chair, we will be focusing on the annual plan, annual performance plan for 2025-2026. And just to indicate that in terms of the current budget for this financial year, appropriated as part of Vote 17, we have a total of 142.4 billion. The CFO will elaborate on this, but this it's a combination of the voted funds at the tune of 116.4 billion and the skills levy, which is 26 billion. Now, of the 142 billion, 91%, which is 129 billion, constitute transfers and subsidies to institutions, including the skills levy. Hence, it was important for us to really differentiate the work that the department would be doing as its direct outputs and the work that our institutions will be doing in terms of, enrollments, in terms of, the completions of our students and infrastructure development. So we have indicators that will reflect how this 91%, the 129 billion, is going to be utilized and accounted for. Once again, I'm not going to dwell much on this slide. I think we have elaborated. DDG did speak at length in terms of the outputs directly produced by the department, but also the outputs that are produced at system level. Suffice to indicate that for the current financial year 2025-2026, we have a total of 82 targets, and that is comprised of 51 targets, which are direct deliverables or other outputs of the department, and then 31 targets at system level. In terms of Program 1, which is responsible for providing strategic leadership, management, and support services to the department, for the 2025-2026 financial year, this program has 9 targets. The first one being to ensuring that for the valid invoices that are received from our creditors, they are paid within 30 days. I think in terms of the baseline, we are already paying all valid invoices from creditors within 30 days, and the intention really is to continue the trajectory and maintain the status quo in the next year and beyond. Secondly, we are targeting to receiving an unqualified audit outcome from the Auditor General of South Africa, which is a stepping stone towards ensuring that we receive a clean audit over the next 5 years. In terms of vacancy rate, we are targeting this year to ensuring that vacancy rate is below 10%. We are already at 9.4%, looking at the 2023-2024, and the intention is to maintain this to be below 10%. Percentage of disciplinary cases that are resolved within 90 days. We're targeting that at least 80% of the cases received, disciplinary cases received, are resolved within 90 days. We are around currently 86.3%, and we think reasonably targeting 80%. It's what would be realistic. Now, we are also targeting, Chair and honorable members, setting aside, procurement budget for our designated groups in terms of women-owned businesses, youth-owned businesses, Black-owned businesses, businesses that are owned by people living with disabilities, and lastly, businesses that are small, medium, and micro enterprises. Our targets in this area is really to make sure that we hover around, the baseline achievements. If you look at the procurement that will be is going to be set aside for women-owned businesses, we want to increase that from 35% to 40%, and from 28.35% in terms of youth. We are being conservative at 25%, seeing that there's a bit of work that needs to be done to ensure that there is appetite for businesses that are owned by youth to really participate in our procurement processes. In the same way that youth would be encouraged, we are also going to support, businesses that are owned by Black and businesses that are owned by people living with disabilities. In terms of Program 2, there are 14 targets, and in the main, as DDG Gasa indicated, Program 2 is responsible for ensuring the development and the review of our legislation. And for this year, 2025-2026, the target is to ensure that we review further amendment bill and ensuring that in terms of process, that is submitted to the Office of the Chief State Law Advisor for their opinion, and also the Draft Skills Development Amendment Act, and that also gets to be submitted to the Office of the Chief State Law Advisor for preliminary opinion. We continue also in terms of legislation to ensure that as we proceed with the legislative program, the Continuing Education and Training Amendment Bill is also submitted to the Office of the Chief State Law Advisor, and as well as the first draft Higher Education Amendment Bill that will be shared with internal and external stakeholders by end of the financial year. And then lastly, in terms of our legislation, the review of our legislation is the National Student Financial Aid Scheme Amendment Bill. The target is really to produce the first draft and share it with our stakeholders, both internal and external, by end of the financial year for comments. In terms of the infrastructure, the intention really is to ensure that to get our infrastructure development program implemented. We will be this year appointing contractors to start with the work of refurbishment of the Tshwane University of Technology, the Giyani campus, as we indicated earlier on, but also appointment of the contractor for the commencement of the construction of the two colleges that we have targeted for this year, Bambanana and Greytown campuses by end of the financial year. And the plan also is to ensure that in terms of the establishment of the University of Northwest Mining Campus, we committing to finalizing the feasibility study in terms of establishment of phase 1 of the campus. In terms of student accommodation, the target really is to build student accommodation and make provision for about 2,000 beds. And this is towards ensuring that the plight of our students in terms of accommodation is alleviated. And these numbers or these targets will be increasing as we move in the MTF, but also in the next 5 years. We are also targeting to undertake international engagements to support the priorities of the post-school education and training system, and that will be about 10 engagements this year. And it could be more, seeing that in terms of the baseline, we were already at 13 engagements. Continuing with program 2, we, as part of our oversight as a department, we also produce monitoring reports. We will be, through this program, be monitoring, the implementation of the Sexual Offences and Related Matters Amendment Act as PSET institutions, and produce the requisite report to reflect how, our institutions fare, be it at the level of universities, TVET colleges, and other subsectors. In the same way, we will also be monitoring the implementation of social inclusion, inclusive of gender equality and GBV in the PSET system, and produce the requisite report to reflect how we fare in terms of the impact of our interventions in the system. And then lastly, we as Minister indicated, we are targeting this year, before the end of this year, to establish a just energy transition skills desk, to coordinate skills development for the just energy transition program, as announced by the President. There are targets, about 5-6 targets, Chair, that we have revised. And this is just to ensure that we align with the recommendations of the Auditor General. We have revised the indicator on the draft Higher Education Amendment Bill submitted to the Minister for approval, to it being shared with internal and external stakeholders by 31 March 2026. Firstly, for preliminary comments before it can be submitted to the Minister after consideration of the comments. Revising, we have revised also the indicator on drafts National Student Financial Aid Scheme Amendment Bill, submitted to the Minister, to producing the first draft NSFAS Amendment Bill, which will be shared with the internal and external stakeholders, also for preliminary comments. We have revised also the target on detailed on producing a detailed design for the establishment of the Tshwane University of Technology, to appointment of a contractor to actually start with the refurbishment of the TUT Giyani campus. In the same way, we have also revised the target on 5% completion of 2 new TVET college campuses, to appointment of a contractor to commence with the construction work. Same way, the 5% completion of the 2 CET colleges, that has been revised to appointment of a contractor to commence with the construction of the CET colleges. We have unfortunately removed the target on funding agreement for the establishment of the 2 new universities due to budget constraints, but this is work that will be undertaken as part of the operational planning of the department, as the department continues to engage National Treasury from this end. In terms of Program 3, which is responsible for developing and coordinating policy and regulatory frameworks for ensuring effective and efficient university education system and provision of financial and other support to universities, to NSFAS, as well as the National Institute for Higher Education. The targets are about 12 for this program. Firstly, producing a report on students that are funded by NSFAS. This will be inclusive of the bursaries that would have been given to students in our universities, but also the loans that would have been provided to or granted to our students as part of the implementation of this comprehensive student funding model. But also target number 2 is ensuring that we finalize the ministerial statement on university enrollment planning for 2025-2030 for approval by the minister. And most importantly, development of a turnaround strategy to reform and to improve NSFAS administration submitted to the minister for noting by 30 November 2025. As part of our oversight, we'll continue through this program 3 to produce oversight reports, particularly on the compliance of our universities in respect to annual reporting regulations, the financial health and audit outcomes of our universities. A report on fee increase recommendations submitted to the minister by 31 October 2025 for minister's consideration. Oversight continues in the various areas, Chair. And for this program 3, in respect to universities, there are a number of areas that the branch will be producing reports to reflect on progress in terms of implementation. The next report is on the evaluation of 2024 research outputs of our public universities. We're also going to produce, a report on the evaluation of creative and innovation outputs by universities, a report on implementation of the publication quality framework for the Director General to approve by 31 March 2026, and then lastly, a report on the second year implementation of the approved language development plans by the universities for consideration by the Director General and approval. And then the last 3 are really targets in respect to our transformation agenda in our universities. We will continue to implement the program on the new generations of academics. We have been targeting 85. We will continue to target 85 posts allocated to universities for this program. We are targeting also about 40 scholarships or internships positions that will be allocated to universities through the Nurturing Emerging Scholars program per annum. And then lastly, ensuring that the number of scholarships that are allocated through the University Staff Doctoral Program is also implemented, and the target is 40 scholarships. Again, in this program, there are about 6 targets, or rather indicators that we've had to amend to really ensure that they are smart, they are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. For instance, we have revised the indicator on the number of research master's graduates from universities per annum to number of master's graduates from universities per annum. This is to ensure that the focus of this indicator is really on the entire cohort of master's graduates instead of focusing on research masters only. We have also revised the indicator on the number of eligible university students who receive NSFAS loans to number of students funded by NSFAS per academic year. The aim here is to also ensure that we are able to determine the number of students that are funded through both bursaries and loans to access university education studies. The target on throughput rate on 2019 first-time cohort at universities has been removed from the original APP to really align with the current status quo in terms of this program. We have since end of this financial year have finalized the reporting in terms of the throughput rate at universities, particularly for the 2019 first time cohort. We have revised the indicator on the percentage increase in first-time students entering universities to the number of first-time entering graduate students entering universities. This is to provide for information or comprehensive information in this area, because it will show not only how many more students enter the university for the first time in terms of percentage, but also in terms of a number, which would, also inherently indicate percentage increases. We have revised the target on the, private higher education institutions complying with regulations from 100% to 95%. Due to some of our some of the universities, private institutions refusing to comply with the regulations, despite the fact that the department continues to provide assistance of which will continue to do so to ensure that all our private higher education institutions comply with the applicable regulations. And then lastly, Chair, the target on the universities that meet good standards, meet standards of good governance, has been revised to from 100% to 90%, due to some of the universities that are unable to with inadequate capacity for that matter to comply with the standards of good governance, despite the department having provided assistance. And this is also one area that the department, through the university branch, will focus on to ensure that all our universities actually meet standards of good governance. Program 4 has 5 targets, and this is as they appear on this screen. Firstly, in line with the enrollment planning processes across the subsectors, Program 4 on TVET will also be producing a 5-year TVET enrollment plan, with program differentiation for approval by the Director General at the end of the financial year. We are also targeting 5 TVET new programs and or qualifications linked to occupations in higher, and to our 5-year strategic plan target of ensuring that the number of students that enroll in these occupations reaches 10,000. We also are targeting about 20 TVET colleges supporting programs or qualifications using blended learning modes, just to ensure that we expand access to the opportunities that are provided by our TVET colleges. And then we have also targeted, to ensure that our TVET, or rather certificates provided or given by our TVET colleges are issued to qualifying candidates, within 3 months. Currently, we are able to do this within 2.6 months, but it has always been a standard that at most it shouldn't go beyond 3 months. And then lastly, the number of TVET lecturers that are participating in nationally coordinated continuous professional development activities, we are targeting about 2,000 lecturers. The only target that was amended for this program is the number of TVET college students who completed NCV level 4. And this is because it was removed because there are plans to rationalize or rather discontinue some NCV programs to consolidate the three-stream model of the Department of Basic Education, just to focus on upscaling occupational qualifications. Program 5 has 5 targets. As they appear, we will continue through this program to produce progress reports on the number of qualifying employers that are paid mandatory grants for approval by the Deputy Director General, the average lead time it takes, to process qualifying trade test applications until the actual trade test is conducted. We are targeting 40 days. We currently at 26.5 days, but we have set the standard to be not more than. The number of sitters assessed to have developed credible sector skills plans that are responsive to the needs of the economy. We expect that all sitters would have developed sector skills plans that are credible. We are also targeting to developing an advocacy strategy to improve and increase workplace-based learning opportunities across the skills development system for approval by the Director General. And then lastly, we are targeting producing guidelines for the appointment of sitter accounting authorities for approval by the Minister by end of the financial year. The last program, Chair and Honorable Members, is Program 6, Community Education and Training, which also exists to plan for, develop, implement, monitor, maintain, and evaluate national policy program assessment practices and systems for community education and training colleges. The targets are as follows. In the same way as the other subsectors will be producing enrollment plans, the program also aims to produce a 5-year enrollment plan for approval by the Director General by end of the financial year. The number of programs and qualifications offered in CET colleges is targeted to be at 2 from 8. I think we'll provide the reason in the next slide why a sudden drop to 2. And then thirdly, we're targeting 1,000 CET college lecturers trained per annum. We are also targeting to maintain the number of CET partnerships established at national level at 2. The percentage of CET college examination centers compliant with the national policy on the conduct and management of examination and assessment per annum, the plan also is to maintain at 95%. Then lastly, the development of revised standards of good governance for CET college councils will be finalized and submitted to the Director General for approval by end of the financial year. Now, in terms of the reasons, as I indicated, in respect to the new programs and qualifications offered in CET colleges, we have revised the target from 11 to 2. The original target of 11 is now, considered to be unrealistic, especially with the requisite infrastructure or without the requisite infrastructure and additional financial resources for our CET colleges. In addition, we have noted also that 96% of our CET college centers operate from DBE schools, and most of the new programs require accreditation that takes a bit of time. We have also revised the target on CET partnerships established at national level from 3 to 2 to ensure that the focus is on maintaining the existing partnerships and promoting that at college level the establishment of such and the maintenance thereof is led by the colleges themselves. And then lastly, we have revised the target on CET college examination centers compliant with the national policy on conduct and management of examinations and assessment from 100% to 95%. The factors affecting examinations are largely not in full control of the CET examination centers. CET colleges are still reliant on provincial education departments and some TVET colleges for the conduct of examinations. And this, in our view, affects the management or rather compliance, to the national policy on the conduct and the management of examinations. Moreover, this is in addition to the examinations that are being conducted mainly at DBE schools. Chair, the next slides will focus on the system targets that we have. We call them consolidated targets because these are targets that are contributed to by our institutions, and these are the targets that will be monitored and reported to by the department. And we believe that the reported information will form the basis for evaluating the performance of the system and also enable the department to determine the required interventions to correct any underperformance and or deficiencies of the system. There are about 31 targets. The first column on my left is reflecting the subsector. The second column is the actual output indicator, the baseline, the target for the 2025-26 financial year, and then lastly the target for the 5-year planning period. Now, for the TVET colleges, the target for the learners registered in occupations linked to the list of occupations in high demand, it's 2,000. You will recall that in terms of the strat plan, we spoke about 10,000, but for this financial year, the target is 2,000. The number of learners or students placed in workplace-based learning, inclusive of internships, learnerships, and TVET graduates that are placed in work-integrated learning. The target for this financial year is 90,000, which is really a cumulative looking into the 5-year target of 500,000. Number of students registered in skills development programs, the 5-year target is 355,000. This year, it's 70,400. And as you would notice, it's really an increase from the baseline 53,518. Number of students enrolled in universities, I think we've spoken to this, as well as students that are funded by NSFAS, both at our universities, our TVET colleges, and the number of universities who receive funding through NSFAS bursaries per academic year. In terms of the graduates in scarce skills areas, we are targeting producing engineering graduates, engineering sciences graduates this financial year to be at 14,735, which is really the target meant to move towards the 15,440 by end of the period covered by the strat plan. The national graduates in the natural and physical sciences per annum. All of these, as you can see, the target really is to increase, from the baseline to the requisite or associated targets. And then lastly, Chair, as I move towards closure in terms of the APP, these are targets, affecting all the sub sectors, the TVET colleges, NSFAS, CITAS, CET colleges, universities, and also we have included cross-cutting outputs, led by Higher Health, which is really the training that Higher Health will be assisting the department to conduct in terms of our students and staff in our PSET institutions through the civic education and health skills program per academic year. The target for this year is 10,000, moving towards the cumulative figure of 50,000 by end of the period covered by the strategic plan. Chair, allow me to, from this slide on, hand over to the acting CFO to take the committee through the MTF budget information for this financial year, but also for the next 3 years. Thank you very much.
Mr. Kens.
Yes, thank you very much. And through you, Chair, good morning to yourself, Honorable Chair, Honorable members, Honorable Minister, DG, and colleagues. My name is Lucian Kearns. I'm the acting CFO for the department. And I'll be speaking you through the budget for the 25-26 financial year. With your permission, if I close my camera, I will probably save on the bandwidth, Chair. We can go to the next slide. I'm not going to go into this slide in detail. The first one, that's fine because we already have indication as to the programs that we have. But this slide speaks to the budget that was from the 24 MTF to 25. There was an increase of about 4.4%. Now that has come about by the net changes in the budget vote baseline, and that net changes is the difference between the increase and the decrease of our baseline amount. So for the current financial year, it is going to be 390 million or 390.4 million, of which the reduction is 586.6 million rand. The next slide will speak to a bit more detail. You can go to the next slide. So here it reflects what the baseline for the department is in the current financial year, which is 142.8 billion rand. And the increase that we had was 196.3 million rand. And also then the reduction of, which I indicated in the previous slide, of 586.6%. So that brings us to the revised allocation of the budget that we have for the department of 142.447. I think that's the one that Mr. Ngiba reflected at the beginning. It also gives us an indication of what is projected for the 25 or for the MTF period until 27-28. I'm not going to go into that detail. We can go to the next slide. Thank you. So this slide gives us just a breakdown of the increase in budget, which is the 196, which we had in the previous slide. And the addition to that is an amount of 127 million for cost of living adjustments. And then, of course, the ministry that we add to it was added to the department for 69.2 million. So you would remember or recall that in the previous dispensation, ministry was not within the Department of Higher Education. Again, at the bottom, just again give some reflection of what would be the skills levy adjustment. You can go to the following slide. The next slide, this slide gives an indication of what is projected over the 25 MTF in terms of the percentage that we would allocate to the TVET colleges, which is 15.4% for the current MTF, where it was 9.6 in the prior year. CET at 2.2. Universities, you can see the above it all, about 60.1%, very equal to what we have in the previous cycle. And of course, at the bottom is the skills levy, which constitutes 18.5% of the budget of the department. If we then go to the following slide, it gives us an indication. This is basically just putting the budget in perspective and comparing it year on year, comparing it with CPI, comparing it with growth in GDP, as well as consolidated government expenditure, and as well as the total expenditure on education. So if one looks at the column for 25-26, one would see that from the previous year, our budget was 137.5 billion, and we've moved to 142.4, almost 40.45 billion rand, and that's an increase of about 3.6%. Now, if we go to the medium-term budget policy statement, Treasury had predicted a 4.3% headline CPI. So if that had been the case, and this was at the time when we did this slide, obviously these figures, they change, they're moving targets. We would be a year on year of a 0.7% short of that amount. So if our GDP is in the region of 8 trillion rand, then our budget is 1.8% of that amount. That is the column where it says percentage of GDP. And if consolidated government expenditure is almost 2.5 trillion rand, which is a year-on-year growth from the previous cycle, 2.3 trillion. That's an increase of about 4.3%. Higher education spending as a percentage of the consolidated spending, that is our budget in relation to consolidated government expenditure. We are at about 5.8%, and they're reasonably consistent over the spread of the financial years, the year gone by and those for the cycle that we are in. The total expenditure we've indicated there as 496.222 billion, of which that growth is about 4.5%. So the higher education expenditure as a percentage of that total education is about 28.7% for the current year. This slide just really gives us some reflection of putting it in perspective of our budget in terms of its growth. If we go to the next slide, this slide gives us a breakdown of the 6 programs as was highlighted in the previous slides, the program 1 to program 6, of what are the allocations for those specific programs. So one can then clearly see if administration, which is program 1, is 663 million, and one can then see also the highest, which is the university education, where they have about 96, just over 96 billion rand of the allocation of our budget to them, and it's followed by the TVET, which is just short of shy of 14 billion rand, and that all of those programs together tells us that the vote actually, if you take away the skills levy, is 116.6 0.44 billion rand. And there we reflect, if we add the skills of 26 billion, it brings us back to the 142.447 or 448 billion for the department. The next slide is a duplicate, but just from another angle. And this one is the 4 economic classifications, which is the compensation of employees, goods and services, transfers and subsidies, and obviously the capital expenditure. Once again, it just gives a reflection of, if one looks at it from an economic classification perspective, so it amounts to the same total. If the next slide would give a bit more flesh to the transfers that we do, and there's the listing of the transfers that the department for the 25-26 financial year. I should just add on the allocation for 25-26 in respect of universities, as well as TVET and CETs. I have not included the infrastructure here. So you would see, for example, in this case, the universities is reflected as 47 billion. If one adds the almost 1.4 billion for infrastructure, then the total allocation for universities would be 48.391 billion. And the same for TVET colleges, the amount reflected there of 4.1 billion. If one adds the infrastructure, it would come to 4.83 billion. And that is the allocation in terms of transfers for the current financial year. If you go to the following slide, this slide speaks about the direct charges in terms of our skills levy. In the 24-25 cycle, it was 24.5 billion. For the current cycle, it constitutes 26 billion, which means it's the amount of the CETAs, which is 20.805 billion, plus the NSF, National Skills Fund, skills levy of 5.2. That should bring us to the just over 26 billion rand. And I'm not going to speak to the outer years. If you go into the next slide, this slide gives us an indication of what is actually the operational budget of the department. So if our budget is 142.447 billion rand, and we take away the 26 billion rand, then the vote that we have, vote 17, less skills would amount to 116.441 billion rand. So if you take away the amount of transfers, which is just over, say, 103 million that we have there, the department is basically left with an amount of less than 800 million rand. It's at 788 million rand of the budget for its operations. And that amount is about 0.6% that the department have available for its operations. We can go to the following slide. And this slide, we just give an indication of the operational budget in terms of compensation of employees, which we have indicated under the economic classification that it is 12.583 billion rand, of which is 8.8% of our budget. And below that is just a breakdown of what we spend towards compensation of employees. Just over 1 billion rand is an amount for officials to the department. Our TVETs constitute the greatest portion thereof, which is just about 8.3 billion, and then also the CET, which is 2.9 billion rand that we spend. And of course, there's a smaller amount that we pay for examiners, and moderators of the amount reflected there. So for the operational budget for 25-26, 788 million or billion rand is an increase has been increased to 858 for the cycle ending in 27-28. I think that is just a synopsis of the to capture the essence of the budget for the 25-26 financial year. I think this is the last slide, members. Yes, so it is. I submit to you, Liane, back as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, CFO. Honorable Chair, Honorable Minister, esteemed members of Parliament, we hereby submit the presentation of the department.
Thank you so much, DG, and your. This then takes us to the end of our presentation. Looking forward to engagements. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister and Honorable DG and your team that on the presentation that have been made on both your STRAT and your APPs. However, indeed, I made some omissions because one of our members is no more. I forgot about that, not because of anything that is mischievous, honorable members. So I felt very bad, when I was reminded about our one of our honorable members. I said I must just do that to Honorable Ngobo. She was one of our members, a member of the NCOP. She's no more, but due to some short illnesses that she gone through, and behalf of the committee, we are really sending to the family, even her organization, sincere and deepest condolences. Yes, I felt that I must not wait any time further, Honorable Minister, but we'll be closer to anything that related to her, sending off. So I said I must just send that apology to honorable members collectively, also on their behalf. So now we are going to be engaging on the presentations, honorable members. I will come later after you have engaged, but I think the presentations are indeed with us. So Honorable Aris, Honorable Sebande, Honorable Duplessis, Adrianse, Honorable Priet, in that order, honorable members.
Yes, good morning, Chairperson, and thank you very much for the presenters for the presentation. Chairperson, I just want to check the staffing and consultants delaying in filling positions such as the center managers and the satellite management positions. What is the funding sources for recruitment process? To fill that vacancies, and are the colleges capacitated in terms of the facilitating recruitment process? And then also the issue of staff shortages. I would like to find out how many staff is needed and how many additional staff been allocated, and what's the cost of the implications, and where will the funding come from, and how is it addressed in the in this financial year 24-25. And then the 22.8 million allocation for consultants, business and advisory services. I want to check what services will they provide in terms of business and advisory services. And does the department not have internal capacity to render the services? And what did the department do to build internal capacity? Because we all know that this consultants is taking a lot of money, and we need to build internal capacity. And what is the situation with the department office in terms of accommodation, and how will it be addressed? And the department must also give us an indication by when they will address that. And then the strat plan report that in terms of this new university campuses, we like to check what is the status of that project and what status of the construction, and what is the status of the construction of the community learning centers also. And then also, Chairperson, there's a huge increase in travel and substance from 9.2 million 2024-25 to 13.9 in 25-26. And what informed this huge increase in terms of traveling and substance abuse? And then also there's a significant reduce in terms of the targets from 90 to 51. And then Chairperson, I would like to check what's the reason for the reduction in targets. And then also in terms of the court cases, there's 139 litigation, 135 is pending. The department need to provide us with a detailed report on how much was spent on this legal cost. And then also, Chairperson, I have noted that there's a decrease in terms of students with veterinary science. And I would just like to check what is the reason for the decrease of that target in terms of students that have been trained in that field. Thank you, Chairperson.
In that order.
Thank you, Chairperson. I'd also like to welcome this presentation, but nevertheless, let me go to the question. Chairperson, I think a few days ago, on the 17th June, we had some of the presentations from the Department of Education from the provinces. And one of their concerns was the issue of illegal youth or illegal people, I will be specific to youth, which is affecting schools. Therefore, I wanted you to get from the department from now, as they've presented, that the numbers which they've targeted, it's also including the youth, illegal people or illegal youth from outside, or what is the position? Because there was a serious concern from the provinces, which are very closer to the borders of other foreign countries. And then, secondly, I wanted you to find out whether our systems are talking to each other. In which sense, I'm very much impressed about the issue of increasing the number of graduates. But what is the plan after they have graduated? Because we are having serious crisis whereby a lot of people are claiming that graduates are not employed. They are sitting outside. This problem can be solved if our systems are talking to each other. Then, thirdly, in outcome 2, I've got a problem also, which goes back with the first question, that there is an increase. The target its intention is to increase or to produce more professionals, while in some of the institutions still dominated by the illegal people. What is the status quo? What are they doing in terms of that, so that they can give a space? For an example, there is something which is very what can I say, demoralizing, whereby some people are busy speculating some of the things which are provocational, whereby they are indicating that in South Africa it's very easy to get 1, 2, 3, while in particular, like in Zimbabwe, our people are being kicked out. So what is the status quo? What are we doing in order to correct that? Because in NA, a few days ago, there was also such a debate whereby it was exposed that some of the people who are in the key positions in the Department of Education, I mean in university and institutions, that are dominated by foreign people. I don't think those are the scarce skills. I would understand which the issue of scarce skills. And then again, my question will be, as I indicated, you see, what I will request, my appeal. I saw parody somewhere, somehow, the issue of science. But if you can recall very well, our concern was about the issue of maths, science, and technology. I will request also if they can elaborate on that one. What is their plan in order to make sure that we increase? Because the current environment, global environment, demands that some of our kids must have those things so that they can be able to survive with the current environment. And I've heard about the issue of I was impressed when they've touched about the issue of legislations and some of amendments in the departments. But I didn't hear them making a legislation or recommendation to help themselves about the issue which I've raised earlier on about these foreign people. And then also, I'm very much impressed, I repeat again, about this presentation, but I wonder, because again, a few days ago, there was a strong indication that in some of the provinces, they got lack of capacity to implement some of these indicators. Therefore, I wanted to find out about the response from the Department of Education, whether do they have capacity to implement about these indicators. And then another one is the issue of there is the request which I wanted to request. You see, I didn't hear anything about upgrading some of the universities so that they can maybe try to address, to talk about the situation of nowadays. For an example, the University of Mpumalanga. I don't think that the University of Mpumalanga does have some of the required by the community in terms of education. What is the plan of the department to make sure that the issue of University of Mpumalanga, maybe in 2 years, because they have got a very, very long proposals, in the coming 2-3 years, they will make sure that some of the faculties are being opened in the University of Mpumalanga so that it can be equivalent to FETS, if possible. Because now it's operating like, to me, a little bit backward. No matter it's working, but it's not yet empowered as it was supposed to be. And then lastly, Chairperson, I was also touched about the issue of the budget of the university. And I heard there was an input about the programs of, about the breakdowns about the programs. But it linked about the question which I've raised now, the issue of the budget of universities. Any time or any means to maybe take us on board about the breakdown of the budget which is allocated to the universities. Because if the budget is not coming very nearly closer to each other, it will make us to the university like in Mpumalanga to stay where it is at the moment. Thank you, Chairperson.
In that order.
Thank you, Chair. Just to show that it is me speaking.
And I'll switch off the camera for bandwidth. Thank you very much for the presentation. It shows some future thinking and as well as potential solutions. I do have a few questions that weren't directly addressed in the presentation. Firstly, psychosocial support with regards or in relation to our students in higher and higher education institutions, as this is incredibly important within the context of both this country as well as in general for university students. I also am missing some focus on curriculum development within TVET and also within TVET and CETA, the accountability measures that are put in place, especially when, for example, I know CAT CETA has redone their ITC systems almost every third year, costing a lot of money, but not actually having the correct outcomes. So what will be done to ensure that there is CETA oversight and accountability? It would have been great to see the list of all the CETAs and where their biggest issues lie, and also how the department will be addressing each one of those issues within each CETA, within each TVET, because I think the breaking down will address many of the issues that we face within DHET. There's also not any specific engagement on infrastructure plans with regards to maintenance of existing structures. Yes, there are one or two plans going forward for new universities or new higher education institutes. But what is being done to ensure that the infrastructure is maintained and does not fall into a complete state of dilapidation? We are seeing it within UCT already that the maintenance has not been done, or in areas there's maintenance that hasn't been done, and it's a similar thing throughout many of our universities, as well as our community education institutions and TVETs. The next question is with regards to the outcome of the G20 working group. This also links into the additional plan to have international engagement. What exactly are the outcomes? As all of this usually comes with quite a large cost, and all the international study tours that have taken place over the past few years, have they influenced already? Have they shown a return on investment? And should we not also look back on those reports to ensure that we incorporate and not keep doing the same thing over and over and over with regards to international engagement? Best practice is incredibly important, as we all are aware, but one needs to implement it at some point and not just keep on getting input. Output needs to happen for return on investment. Then there is little mention of bridging courses and assisting people who require adult matriculation in order to access higher education. I do understand artisan comes within that and as various of the CETAs, but what exactly is being looked at, and do we understand the need within South Africa currently of adults who do need bridging courses or first access to higher education? The overarching question that I do have is, what are the lessons learned over time? What is the crisis that you're sitting with now, and how are you actively already addressing it? A lot of the presentation was about this is what we will be doing, but what has happened in the past year already to improve the Department of Higher Education and Training? Then there's mention of beds going from 0 to 2,000. I'd just like to know how that's going to happen. It would be fantastic if it does happen, of course, with student accommodation being in the crisis that it is now. Then I touched on it, but I want to be quite specific. With regards to transfers and subsidies, what are the accountability measures that are in place? What oversight is taking place, and what return on investment has happened? Because yes, of course, we do have rights, but rights also come with responsibilities, and ensuring that money is well spent, or investment or subsidies are well spent, and there is in fact a return on investment of the people's money. Then I'd like to find out what are the internal audit structures within the various entities in DHET, and who do they report to, and how often do they do their internal audits? Thank you very much, Chair. I think that is more than enough for now.
Yes, that order.
Thank you, Chairperson. I'm just showing my video so that you can see it's indeed me before I close it for bandwidth. First of all, I would like to start by saying I appreciate the presentations, and thank you for everyone being present. First of all, my first question alludes to the fact that, to me, a financial officer is a very important position, especially where we have to take an adoption, and you alluded to it as well, of zero tolerance for irregular, fruitless, and wasteful expenditure, and has committed to ensuring implementation of consequence management against anyone involved in financial misconduct in the department. Now I would like to know how a position such as Chief Financial Officer is filled by an acting contract. This should be a permanent position and filled as such, and now it's while we claim it's such an important issue, which it is, we don't take the leadership to appoint someone in a permanent position to take the leadership in addressing the audit challenges facing the sector. So this is my first question. Why an acting contract in this position? Then the next one is, with the student funding models, is the department on track with the implementation of the comprehensive student funding model? Then in the CET sector, I would like to know what new programs and qualifications will be offered in CET colleges 2025-2026. And then the nitty-gritty, I didn't see anything for the universities anywhere. I saw it removed. Is there a need to establish student disability units at CET colleges? And your target for 2030 is quite ambitious because there was a decline in the enrollments. How will you make sure that you reach your target? Then when we get to the Northwest Province, where I'm from, there's a new university to be built. What is the status of this project? And where is the funding coming from? And if there's no funding yet, what's the plans for sourcing funding for this new university? The next one, if we look at the commendable target that has been set to achieve a clean audit in the other 2 years of the MTF period, when can the department commit to achieving a clean audit and clarify what is being done differently to guarantee the achievement of the set target. And let me just check. I must now check that I'm not doubling up on questions already asked. And where there were ineffective implementation of the audit action plans, can the department supply us with the reasons for this and which areas have been ineffective, and were there any consequence management required and enacted upon? The department plans with regards to the TVET colleges to have a new revised subject curricula. Now, which subjects were revised? Because this should have been done by 31st of March 2025. Now, which of these subjects were revised, and how are graduates to be supported who have completed the linked subject curricula which were deemed outdated, demanding a revised curricula? Let me just check. This has been covered. Yes, I quickly want to check on these. It was mentioned by one of my colleagues, the court cases. There's 139 litigations and there are 135 pending cases. Now, what I want to ask is, what is the department doing differently? What measurable changes have been implemented to eliminate the occurrence of court cases against the department? Because this is quite a lot of court cases, and certainly one must learn your lessons from it. And what are you doing differently? Yes, thank you, Honourable Chairperson. I think I'll stop there to leave something for Honourable Breed.
That order.
Thank you, Chair. Just proof of life. Hi, here I am. Chair, then I think a lot has been covered by my colleagues. So let me just focus on 3 points. Let me welcome the presentation and provide my sincere condolences to Honourable Ngobo's passing. I think that was a great shock to all of us. Chairperson, getting to the department, I would like to know, in terms of CETAs, what are we doing to address the problems with CETAs? I think, if I remember correctly, during the 22-23 financial year, we had a 1.2 billion rand irregular expenditure with CETAs. So we need CETAs for the vocational training and artisan training, but if they are not functioning, we are not addressing that. Chair, then secondly, I would like to welcome outcome 2 that speaks of vocational training and a lot of TVETs, CETs, and all the rest, not necessarily just universities to sort out issues, but how are we encouraging students to look at them? Because we have this culture in South Africa, we believe higher education means tertiary education in universities. We don't think it means TVETs, CETs, CETAs, and the rest. So how are we bridging that gap? And then lastly, Chairperson, and I know we did not speak of that, but there were slides that spoke of NSFAS and getting more students on NSFAS and doing that. But during the last 2 weeks, there was media reports about 1.3 billion rand in 4 IT companies that were not accredited financial service providers and has now created a housing crisis for NSFAS students. How are we going to sort out the issues at NSFAS in terms of housing issues, in terms of payments, and in terms of all of that, Chairperson? Because it doesn't help we rely on that, but we cannot rely on that because of the 600,000 students currently on NSFAS. More than 200,000 of them, I think that was the stat, if I remembered correctly, was not, their fees weren't paid. So I really think we need to get an answer there, Chairperson, and then I will leave it at that for now. Thanks.
Thank you very much, honorable members, with the engagement. But before the response, I think I have 1 or 2 issues that I want to raise so that they can form part of the responses. One of them is that I didn't have had that being raised. There is a issue of donors or funding that we are getting from America, specifically dealing with the element of research in our universities. The universities are at their lowest level now in terms of that particular task. I didn't have that, as to with that with the dent that is being made by that cutting of funding. What is it that, in terms of the budget that we are putting forward in order to close or to try to bridge that gap? Remember, some of these researches are involving the communities project in our communities, especially closer here in Khayelitsha and then in Kwalang. I know that there are the collaborational programs between community and the universities that are here. So I just want to check if is there a budget now that has been made available for that. The second one is that the Auditor General last year released a report about students who are double dipping, benefiting from both NFSAS and then the SITAs. Is there any measures, in ensuring that that doesn't become, because it is going to affect your broader funding if you are having such a situation? So what prevention measures are put in place for this financial year in order to ensure that it doesn't happen? And also, to me, I might be wrong. That is an act of some sort of offense, whether you are going to call it a fraud or what, when these applications are being made. I doubt very much if it can be done deliberately to fund one student on both. And then also, what have we done in trying to follow? Because it's huge sums of money that needs to be recovered. And if there are any elements, if there were investigations that were made of collaborations between our officials and then the students, what consequence management have they been followed? The third one, there was an issue in Eastern Cape University also, where there was a killing of a human being. I just want to check the progress in terms of that particular case, because I won't go bogged down to how we responded or not, and what's not. But just briefly in terms of the progress and the recent one of a student that have been killed also there in that particular institution, just to check the progress in terms of both the investigations. The other one, I think, is the question of students that are funding in NFSAS. We once they graduate, they come and join the picket lines of the unemployed, and it becomes difficult now to recover. Any percentage that we have provided as an assistance. I just want to check: are there any programs in place that to because there is a serious outcry. And if we are not taking this serious outcry by the students, the country one day will be waking up in a revolution, and young people are very energetic species. Just to try so that we do not find ourselves in that teaching. The last one, how can we, because I want us to check our realistically now, do we have a target that we have set ourselves as per 2030 vision of 30,000 artisans? How far have we tried to undergo that process? You know, combined with the question of the current challenge of skill shortages. Because if we are not addressing also the skill shortages, I doubt very much that we will be able, because I think we are left with only 5 years to 2030. I know it's an ongoing plan, but in terms of the target sets, at least by this time, that's what the government envisages through its program. So I wanted just to check that. The last one, there is a serious outcry out there on the serious corruption, as we saw on our last financial year on the sitters. A lot of money is being spent, but in terms of the work to be done, expected to have been done, it's less. How do we recover? Because we must recover those money from those people that are on those sitters that are not showing any, results of what they were benefiting there, because they were benefiting for nothing, So I just want to check if there are any measures that have been put in place so that we do not continue to lament on one thing, because financially, in and financially year out, the same issues are being raised, but there is nothing that is, clearly, defined and also in terms of addressing those challenges. So those are the issues that I wanted to raise. But what I will plead, TG and then the team, is that we might not capture all the questions verbatim now. You can make some written submissions to our secretariat within 7 days. In order for us also, is going to assist us as members to follow what we believe that is not yet properly, because the discussions are not ending here, are continuous, so that we find comfort in terms of the new strat plan for 2025, 26, So I just wanted to raise that before I can hand you over Uyo for responses. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, a chairperson of the select committee, and good afternoon to honorable members. We are going to respond to questions, a chairperson. As per your directive, we are going to also provide supplementary responses should members feel that there are some areas where we did not capture some of the clarity-seeking questions that they've asked to us. The Deputy Minister is here as well. He's going to take some questions, as well as the DG and the technical team. I'm going to just respond on one issue that has been raised by the chairperson on the impact of the USA aid withdrawal on South African universities, chairperson, that you just asked about, which is sitting at the gap now for this financial year, which is 1.4 billion rands. We understand all of us that there has been this a grant freeze by the US since the decision was taken in January 2025. So what we are saying is that it requires a sector-wide engagement, because it is not only us as the Department of Higher Education and Training through universities that is affected. Department of Health as well is affected, as well as Science, Technology and Innovation. So there is a technical team that is sitting to consolidate all those requirements, because by the look of things, it's not only us that are affected. And the majority of programs are funded by the United States Agency, International Development, and the National Institute of Health, through collaboration with various universities in the United States. And other programs are funded by the United Nations Program on HIV and AIDS, Center for Disease Control and Prevention, National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, United States Department of State and United States Department of Defense, United States of the Army, Defense Threat Reduction Agency, United States Department of Energy, and the United States Department of Agriculture. So what we have done so far, Chair, because we wanted to mitigate and try to analyze the magnitude of the problem, we had engagements with USAF, which is University South Africa, where they compiled a detailed report to us to say the impact is this much, and then this number of employees have been affected, and this number of employees have been terminated to date. So we do have that comprehensive report that we would mind to share with the members of the Select Committee through your Secretariat, Chairperson. But in essence, what we are saying is that because we have already escalated this matter, then we're also advised that we should share this report with the Minister of International Relations, so that through our diplomatic relations, we can see how then we mobilize alternative funding to close this gap. We've since written to Minister Lamula. We're hoping that we are going to get a positive response, because in our previous engagement, he said he has been engaging with a number of partners, and Chinese are keen to assist and come forward to close the gap. In conclusion, is that US aid freeze has placed significant pressure on South African universities, particularly in the research sector, which is then threatening the ongoing projects, jobs, and the country's global research standing. Thank you so much, Chair. I'll then, through you, request the DG or the DM first, then the DG to take other questions. Thank you.
Chairperson, can I come in?
Chair, DM is here.
I think the chair is probably, yeah. Maybe I can just go on, and if I'm out of line, the chair will just stop me. I just want to
you're not DM. You are welcome, DM. You are welcome.
Okay, thank you.
The floor is yours. You can tell.
Thank you, Chairperson. Okay, I think we need to see the. Thank you for the opportunity, Chairperson. I think we need to see this as an opportunity. I think DDG Gaza explained it quite succinctly, that this is our 5-year plan, and that it is linked to the National Development Plan 2030, and that it's our interpretation of what Cabinet has adopted as the medium-term development plan for this current administration. And so this is how we interpret all of those plans. So they're taking place within that context. And yes, some of the targets, may fall short of what the NDP has expressed, but we obviously have to understand that this plan happens within a different context. It happens within serious constraints in terms of the national fiscus, and therefore we had to be quite conservative with our planning, for instance, in terms of enrollment, in terms of the number of students we can support through NSFAS, in terms of the targets as it relates to TVET colleges, targets in terms of CETAs, etc., etc. And so, and obviously, if the situation turns around, which there is obviously that provision continuously for us to review our stretch plan, based on our various iterations of the annual performance plan. And as you said, Chair, this will be a continuous engagement. We will obviously come back year in, year out to come and report back on the on the initiatives that, on the implementation of this stretch plan. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that, there's I think the honorable member, if it's not, I think it's honorable member Adrian who asked the question around the return on investment in terms of the resources that are put in sector education and training authorities. I think it's important that we are not caught up in the moment in terms of what is in the newspapers around sector education and training authorities, that we actually look at the report. The National Skills Authority did a comprehensive report on the performance of the 21 sector education and training authorities, which has been presented to Parliament. I'm not sure if that report has also been presented to the NCOP through this select committee. But it's a report that I think honourable members may need to familiarise themselves with, because it tracks the performance of CETAs over a period of time, and indicates what are the things that needs to be done in order to improve on what the CETAs have been doing over the years, what needs to change, and all of that. So I think it would be beneficial that we do not look at the performance of CETAs based on what we read on newspapers, but I think it may help for honourable members to familiarise themselves with the report that the National Skills Authority had put together on skills. And if you look at how we're approaching the next 5 years, CETAs are also going to be playing an important role in terms of contributing towards the outcomes that we've identified, the priorities that the minister has identified around joint just energy transition, the skills required for that, partnership with universities and TVET colleges and community colleges in terms of them attaining their objectives, and so on and so on. So they are going to be playing a role, and we believe that on aggregate, yes, there may have been challenges, but on aggregate, there has been huge return on investments in terms of sector education and training authorities, and that we obviously through these engagements, are quite open to hear how we can improve at that level. And then finally, I think just to add one bit in terms of the minister's response on the impact of the US, and maybe the discussion which the minister has also been leading with the minister in the presidency, the minister of Treasury, Deputy Minister at Treasury, and international relations, has been how do we secure our own sovereignty as a country in terms of research and development, but also secure partnerships which are not based on political expedience, and who comes into office and all of that. And so a base which obviously government will have to drive, but a discussion that I think Parliament can also help to contribute into. How do we build our own sovereignty as a nation in terms of research and development, so that these kind of decisions, when other countries take these kind of decisions, they do not affect us as severely, 1.4 billion rand severely as it has done now. But I think, as the minister has indicated, she's working around the clock to make sure that we deal with the immediate crisis, but in the long term, that's also the kind of discussion that we are having. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair of the Select Committee, for the opportunity. May I recognize the input by the Minister covering the question by Honorable Feni right at the end regarding the cessation of US budget allocation to some of our institutions, of which the DM has also contributed as well. And I wish to thank both the Minister and the DM for that. We will separate questions into 4 components according to the different branches, and I'll ask the branch heads to come and contribute. But I do wish to make a few remarks, especially about the question of the expansion of the system. Honorable members, our constitution speak of incremental realization of post-school education and training, which means the founding fathers and mothers, brothers and sisters of our country understood that it would not be possible for the democratic state to overnight provide sufficient and adequate post-school education and training to all. But the state needs to continuously account on what it is doing in ensuring that we continuously expand access and the minister adds success of young people in post-school education and training. And in this regard, I will just share with you that the Department of Education in the last MTF had been further to its budget, been supported by the National Treasury in dealing with the capacity of the post-school education and training. And in this regard, 2.5 billion rands had been allocated to the department by National Treasury to build 13 TVET college campuses over the last 5 years. And this to ensure that more learners have access to technical education and that the skills base of the country, particularly in rural areas, and this is broadened. I am happy to report that already 13 of those institutions have now been completed. And these include Mkungundlovu TVET College campus in Umsinga, SID College campus in Umzimkulu, Mtashane College campus in Wanongoma, and Gwakagazi, the Ikala TVET College in the Eastern Cape at Aliwal North, Grafreine, campus in the East Cape Midlands, and a Waterberg TVET College in Tabazimbi, Sterkspruit, Balfour, Vryheid, now Litaba campus in Giyani, in Limpopo, as well as Ingwe campus, Kwangungushe in the Eastern Cape. All of these campuses have been completed at a cost of close to 2.5 billion rands over the last 5 years. And in this financial year, I need to also add that Ingwe, TVET at Ngqongqoshe campus and Mtashana have completed their phase 2, including the Letaba TVET College in campus. There is a list that we can provide you on projects that are currently active, which are in the TVET space, that include colleges in, around the country, that either, are at a feasibility stage, planning, others are completed, others, are at various stages of construction. This is a work in progress, but we understand that there is a concern that we continuously increase this work. I also need to indicate that there is a list of completed student housing projects in our universities. For example, we've completed 2,000 beds in George at Nelson Mandela University, 1,728 beds at Mafikeng, 2,720 beds in Belleville, East London, 1,437 beds, Kimberley, Soshanguve, Emalahleni, Velcom, Bloemfontein, in Soweto, KwaDlangezwa, Summerstrand, and Stellenbosch. If you look at all of our projects, they are spread throughout the length and breadth of our country. The footprint of the infrastructure project of our country currently, in our university is close to 1.8 billion rands, which, seek to improve the capacity, of the post-school education and training to embrace and absorb more students. I'm happy to indicate that in terms of phase 2, cluster 1 and 3 projects, we have lined out almost 10,700 beds through funding that the National Treasury has allocated to us, and we are working with DBSA in trying to formulate a strategy for rolling out those 10,700 beds. The policy that our minister drives regarding access to post-school education and training prioritizes young people that are undergrads in these institutions because they are younger and they are not yet ready on their own to find their own accommodations. And therefore, going forward, this is what we will be trying to do. Thank you very much, Chair. May I then start with DDG Zungu, DDG Sotikwa, DDG Gasa, and DDG Fuchane to add on my earlier input. Thank you.
Thank you very much, DG, and greetings to the Honorable Chair and Honorable Members, the Honorable Minister and Deputy Minister that is on the chat, and all the colleagues. I will switch off my video for the improved bandwidth. I will start with the question that was asked by Honorable Du Plessis in relation to the curriculum development within the TVET space, but also will be equally responding to the question that was asked by Honorable Adrianse in relation to the new revised curricula within the TVET as well, together with the placement of TVET graduates. Honorable Chair and Honorable Members, in relation to the TVET curriculum, I think since 2018, the Department of Education and Training has embarked on the plan to review and update programs and qualifications that are offered in colleges. As such, we have started phasing out the outdated NATED Report 191 programs, popularly known as N1 to N6 programs, which forms the substantial part of the TVET college's PQM or program qualification mixes. They are being gradually phased out. The last examinations for N1 to N3 engineering will be December 2025, and the last examinations for NATED N4 to N6 will be in December 2026. This is in relation to the implementation of the proclamation in the directive on the implementation and transitional arrangements for all the pre-2009 qualifications as per the SAQA Act 58 of 1995. So the department has in 2023, in relation to the programs that we are phasing in, which will be our occupational programs. There's about over 740 new qualifications and part qualifications which are accredited by the QCTO, which we are busy implementing in the place of the NATED programs. So in 2023, on the NCV programs, we focused on the digitalization of the sector and also ensuring that our young people are digitally savvy. So we focus on the program called the IT and Computer Sciences that has a specialization in programming and robotics. We have already by now over 30% of the TVET colleges are now offering this program. And this stream is also covering in terms of the subject coverage, they cover electronics as well as digital concept for robotics, including the robotics fundamentals and industrial automation. We are doing this in partnership with some of the ICT companies, including Cisco as well as Huawei. As you know that all occupational programs, they demand a close working relation or industry partnerships. We are also ensuring that we align with the 4R-related programs, such as the Internet of Things, big data, artificial intelligence, as well as the drone technology that is now offered in some of our TVET colleges, with the hope that in near future, most of our colleges will be offering these programs. So we are also looking at colleges that are or programs that are related to manufacturing, engineering, as well as transportation and logistics. Indeed, there is also a focus on tourism and hospitality, as well as the inclusion of entrepreneurship and agriculture programs, which we are also rolling out in our TVET colleges. Indeed, one of the success stories in this regard is that we have rolled out a program in relation to centers of specializations, which to date, I think we just have over 26 of those centers of specializations that are found in about 19 TVET colleges throughout. But what is of remarkable impact is the fact that this will increase the capacity for us to produce artisans. I think there was a question that was asked by Honorable Chair of the Select Committee about the number of artisans, which is set in terms of the NDP to be 30,000 per annum, that we are currently sitting just above 21,000 in this regard. But I think DDG Mvalo will also add on this one. Since 94 or before 94, we only had one trade test center, and now we are boasting about 36 trade test centers that are decentralized, which then allows for young people to be trade tested in their various areas or in their regions. Of course, it's not adequate because not every region at the moment has these trade test centers, but our aim is to make sure that in each and every region, young people have access to these trade test centers. I think that's a remarkable achievement that the department has actually achieved in this regard. So we are hoping that in the next 5 years, we should be very close to the 30,000 artisan per annum, as we are currently sitting around 22,000, and we have about 5 years left in this regard. There was also a question by Honorable Duplessis whether we do have any bridging courses. For the TVETs, we have what is called the Pre-Vocational Learning Program, popularly known as the PLP. And that's a program that we assist, particularly those students that come into the TVET sector without any background of or have not done well in terms of the STEM subjects, and they get assisted through this program. The program is also funded through NSFAS to enable young people that will not have funds to pay for the cost to enroll in this program. So it's a fully funded program that allows young people to improve their academic results in this regard. There was also a question, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members, I think it was Honorable Brett, in terms of the destigmatization of the TVET sector and the misconception about the TVET sector by our societies and communities. Indeed, as a department, there are some efforts that we are making. As we speak, we have our entity that is called CATA that assists young people in terms of the career development. We have also in TVET colleges what is called the open days, where we allow learners as early as grade 9 to come and have a feel and touch of what it means if you have to be trained as a plumber or an electrician. So we allow them to come to our training spaces and workshops, which they will always be accompanied by their life orientation teachers, who should then go back and make sure that they share the information with as many young people as possible. Of course, most of us are always on the media platforms, print media, as well as other forms of media where we spread this gospel of young people having to choose to come to TVET colleges. Yes, there are limitations, of course, in terms of the available spaces due to the fiscus, that sometimes the volumes are quite big. If we look at the number of applications that we've received, where we are seeing that there's more interest now on TVET colleges, applications from individual students, but also applications from different formations or societies where they are requesting TVET campuses to be built in their own geographical areas. But unfortunately, due to limitations of funding, we are unable to reach out to as many young people as possible. So there is a drive by the department to encourage young people to consider the skills within the TVET sector. Honorable Chair, DG, I think I would have probably covered all the issues in relation to the TVET sector, but if we have omitted, we will provide additional responses in writing. Thank you very much, DG.
Thank you very much, DG Sotekwa.
Good afternoon. I'm trying to put my camera on. If 1 minute. Thank you for the opportunity, DG. Firstly, good afternoon, Chairperson, honorable members, Minister, Deputy Minister, and DG, and all my colleagues in the room. If I may please switch off my camera so I can manage my presentation. Right, just to quickly move on, I think I will start with the questions on from Honorable Patrick on the illegal people in our institutions pertaining to scarce skills. Honorable Member, we work on the basis of the evidence shared with us, and thus far we have decided we will work with the Department of Labour As you know, they have just released the Employment Services Bill, which is going to be tabled in Parliament. And this bill has been sanctioned by Cabinet, and we thought it prudent to engage with the Department of Labour and then carve a way forward on how this will apply to the universities. And then on the question of the skills challenges tied to mathematics, science, and technology, in July this month, we are launching the Mega Mathematics Festival. This is part, and it will be an annual conference. Part of this Mega Maths conference is to improve teaching in mathematics and physics. We'll be drawing teachers from all provinces and some learners and experts from across the world to help our teachers to teach mathematics and physics in such a way that we see better results. This is very important to us to manage the pipeline so that with the improvement in teaching, we have more matrics moving away from maths literacy to pure maths, where we need them to support the just energy transition projects and all other engineering projects. And of course, then the question you then asked is then, what do we do with the graduates once they have graduated? What is our placement strategy? We've had extensive discussions with universities, 26 universities in the past few weeks on supporting the employment shortages in the sector. And of course, that would mean partnering with the business sector. But more importantly, we've asked them to change the curriculum and include work integrated learning so that they get practical experience whilst they are studying. This is work underway, but it is we believe we've planted the seed, and from where we are sitting, the vice chancellors took this quite kindly. So we'll monitor this, but we'll also support them with the requisite support moving forward. Then on the question of how we're supporting University of Mpumalanga, let me just indicate to you, Honourable Member Patrick, that University of Mpumalanga and University of South Plaiki in particular get additional funding of 150 million on top of the normal budget. And that is to support them so that they catch up with our established universities. Yes, they are improving incrementally, adding, expanding the scope of qualifications. And this they have to do as they grow with a budget and in terms of infrastructure. We are monitoring them quite closely. These two universities, we meet every quarter to assist them. But of course, ultimately, they do have to market their programs and work closely with our Central Application Services system so that they are able to attract more students. Our minister visited University of Mpumalanga at the beginning of this academic year in particular, and we were also able to gather from students some of the programs that they need to progress as we move forward. We have advised the university will be monitoring particularly the legal qualifications, which students felt were rather inept. So that's University of Mpumalanga. And then to move to Honourable Nicola as comments on psychosocial support for university students. We have started discussing this matter with NSFAS, and we've agreed we will be meeting with Higher Health to look to providing additional support, particularly when students enter the university system, on different coping mechanisms. And hopefully we will sign that MOU before the end of this year. And then on the question of I think you said, what is the bridging courses? What do we offer foundational programs? Again, here we have a budget. I just want to quickly get to it here. We have what we call the foundation provisions budget, and we allocate certain amounts to different universities to support students to bridge, the complexities of the higher education system. And I mean, in total, I can confirm that we allocate 1.1 billion for this exercise, and we spread it across different institutions according to their capability. And then what is I think that DG responded to the question of the new universities. I will then turn to the question on the NSFAS. The other question, I think, was from Honorable Breert, is what do we do with the NSFAS, I'll say resources, if I were to summarize your question. NSFAS systems must be given the highest priority possible. The ICT systems. The NSFAS board met with the SIU, and the SIU having stationed itself there for over past 2 years with the support of the department and the presidency, has indicated that it is absolutely important that we prioritize these systems. So is 1.4 billion excessive? Well, this 1.4 billion was for speaking to a previous system which NSFAS had hoped to procure, but SIU found made findings against that decision. And that's really what the article is referring to. Some opportunists then felt that because that decision was pending by the board should be persuaded to move these funds to housing and accommodation. Let me indicate that DG has already indicated that accommodation allocations are being addressed. The function of the NSFAS is not to build accommodation. What NSFAS must do is focus on building its systems, and that decision will be communicated once the ICT strategy and the procurement strategy around it has been confirmed. NSFAS is working very closely with the National Treasury in this regard, and as I indicated, with the SIU. And then I think the last question, which I think came from Honorable Feni, Minister has responded to you fully, and I will leave it there. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you, DDG. DDG Kasa.
You are left with 5 minutes, teaching.
Thank you very much, Chairperson and honorable members, for the questions and the comments regarding our presentations. Greetings once more to yourselves and also to our Minister and our Deputy Minister. Given the time that we've got left, I will try to be as brief as possible. Let me please switch off my video for bandwidth. I've grouped my answers according to 4 issues, and I will try my level best to be very brief. So the Our DG has covered issues related to infrastructure. I thought, let me just add some answers that might perhaps have been not responded to. There was a question regarding the status of the new university in Northwest, and regarding the community centers pertaining to the CET. Where we are at right now is we're focusing on feasibility studies for regarding these two areas that have been reflected on, and we could give you an update further in writing if this is required. There was also a question about whether there is an infrastructure plan in the department. We do have an infrastructure plan, but it does require an update moving forward. And there were also questions regarding the maintenance plans, given the status of certain universities and where they're at this particular stage. I can assure you, honorable members, that we have the infrastructure efficiency grant. We have what we call SIG, and we also fund infrastructure through the National Skills Fund. But what is frank and quite honest is that we have an issue around the decline of infrastructure. But in the main, this will be assisted by what the DG described very eloquently in terms of the work that is being done, driven by the minister, especially focusing on student accommodation to address the challenges that are currently being faced. And then another issue that was raised that I would like to respond to was the matter of legal costs. I would like to indicate, as members, I believe, are aware that the focus of the legal costs that we face are around being externally oriented. So we respond to cases that are amongst us, but also it is about spending on legal reviews of laws, as I expanded on them earlier on when I presented. But we are able to give you a summary of legal costs as you required earlier on. Then there are two issues that I would like to respond to. There was a question raised regarding psychosocial support to students in the PSET system. We have an MOU with Higher Health as a department, and initially what we procured their services for is for them to focus on challenges that students face. Firstly, among what our president describes as the fourth pandemic in our country, the gender-based violence and femicide, substance abuse, and mental health. On a yearly basis, we spend in minimum 30 million towards the work that they do. This enables us to ensure that if they have encountered gender-based violence and femicide, they're able to have access to a call center. They're able to be assisted with counseling. They are able.
Thank you, DG. May I request, I think the chair had warned that we've got 5 minutes. May I request, with your permission, Honorable Chair, that the rest of other responses we provide you in the 7 days that you have generously given us. And thank you for this opportunity. In this regard, I'll hand over to our Minister and our Deputy Minister for their closing remarks. And from our side, we thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, DG, the Deputy Minister, with your comprehensive responses that you have provided before the Select Committee. Chairperson, we just want to take the meeting back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Is the TM want to say something so that he don't feel that he's been closed outside?
No, not at all, Chairperson. Not at all. I think the Minister has covered all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, honorable members. You are always welcome to the select committee, and also as a committee, with an assurance that as the TM have already alluded that we are not that committee that depends on grapevines or following, what at the social media platforms are busy with. We deal with what is in front of us. That is why the minister is always with us. He understands that she can attest that the TM, you are also welcome. We also appreciate the responses that we received. Indeed, as we pleaded that some of the responses can be done in the form of writing, indeed, so that on our continuous engagement, we deal with these issues so that we are on the same par in terms of our own understanding. We do not find ourselves overwhelmed, by the certain circumstances as we are currently not doing. So it is not, and it will not be our attention. You saw the teacher was smiling since he was presenting. He didn't hit his face when he was making this presentation. So it's a sense of welcoming also to the collective. So we are done in terms of what is in front of us. Honorable Minister, we are going to finalize our agenda. You are released, the Honorable Minister and the team. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you
Ms.
so much.
Kaka.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kaka. Will you fly the agenda so that we see in terms of the agenda what items are we left with? It has been a long day, honorable members. Once more.
Thank
Chair.
you.
Yes.
Sorry, Ms. Kaka has been kicked out of the meeting. The only thing was on the agenda, it was the minutes and then closure, unless you want to carry the minutes to the next meeting. I don't know.
No, we wanted to adopt the minutes.
Let me flag the minutes, Chair.
Please do, Mr. Kula. We received these minutes, but I want them to be flighted so that we just adopt them. Can you move them up, honorable member, so that, or else can
you see them, Chair?
Mr. Kula, can you
Yes.
just give us the date of the minutes?
Um,
No, just read them. They are with you.
the date was on the Tuesday, the 17th of June. Time it was from 10 to 2.
Thank you very much. Can honorable members adopt the minutes? They are the members who are here. Honorable members, are you still there?
We are.
Yes, here are the minutes. We want to adopt the minutes.
Honorable Sibande, I move to adopt the minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Sibande and Honorable Adriansa in support. Thank you very much, honorable members. The meeting stand adjourned. Thank you very much, honorable members.
Thank you so much.